This is Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
Good news, bad news, you be the judge. This is Wretched Radio. Before we take a look at these statistics from the Pew Forum on religion in the U.S. of A., some good news, some bad news. Depends on how you interpret it. Some good news coming out of Eastern Europe. No, it has nothing to do with famous politicians' sons getting extraordinary compensation, working in a field they have absolutely no expertise in. No, not talking about that good news. Talking about the Tomorrow Clubs. If you are not a sponsor of a Tomorrow Club, this is a wonderful ministry to support. $30 per month. You'll be discipling 30 kids. Simple as that. Far-flung villages. Very few ministries, frankly, if any, get out to the sticks of Romania and Ukraine and Georgia, Albania. When was the last time you heard a presentation on the missionary from Albania? Yeah, there's some, not many. Tomorrow Clubs, they are blanketing Eastern Europe. Tomorrow Clubs, they are kids' clubs where they meet every single week. The kids get loved on. They hear the gospel. They're getting saved. Their families are getting saved. And please note with the Tomorrow Clubs, they do not do reports of kids getting saved by going, ooh, he raised his hand. She raised her hand. Somebody signed a card. No. They watch them to see if there's new fruit coming from the child. Got to be careful with younger kids when they make a profession of faith. Now, we're talking about 10, 12, 14, 16-year-olds. It should be unique fruit. If they were always good in that area and they're still good in that area, that's not a new fruit. If they never shared but now they're sharing, now that's some fruit that is unique to that child. The leaders watch the kids before they report somebody actually got saved. It's a great ministry. Please consider supporting Tomorrow Clubs. TomorrowClubs.org/wretched. TomorrowClubs.org/wretched. And now to the U.S. of A. we go. They're saying there's a decline of Christianity in the U.S. Is there? You be the judge. Here's what appears to be bad news. I'm not sure that it is. We've been talking, and when I say we, I mean all of us, not just this program, but I mean every evangelical has had the comment, as the culture shifts and it becomes increasingly difficult for Christians to make a sound profession of faith, there's going to be a lot of Christians that cave. Haven't we all thought that would happen? That as it becomes less and less cool to be a cultural Christian, cultural Christianity is going to shrink. And so it is. I don't think that's a bad thing, to be honest with you. I like the idea, too. Hey, we're the biggest religion. I love the idea. There's some comfort in that. But an external profession does not mean that there's an internal possession of salvific faith. And we have all noticed that, haven't we, throughout the years? People who say, I'm a Christian, but they live like a rank pagan. Or the people who have such watered-down dogma that it's hard to imagine they actually know that Jesus Christ is fully God, fully man, who died for forgiveness of sins. That seems to be shrinking. And I'm not sure that's so terrible. In 2000, this poll, huge poll from Pew Forum, 65% of American adults describe themselves as Christians. When asked about their religion, that's down 12 percentage points over the past decade. So the external, the big wampum number where we all go, hey, we're the majority religion, that's shrinking. I don't think that's bad. Doesn't Jesus want the bride to be pure? Isn't that why we have church discipline? Which, by the way, is the first instruction that we see revealed in the New Testament for the church discipline. Isn't that interesting? It isn't about worship. It isn't about how we do liturgy. It isn't about church polity, all important issues. It's about church discipline. He wants a pure bride. He wants it presented spotless and blameless, which, by the way, gentlemen, is what we are to be working on when it comes to our wives, presenting them as spotless and blameless, growing them spiritually. Jesus has a keen interest in a spotless bride. In America, we have had, we've had Hosea's bride. seems to be shrinking. I rather think that's a good thing. People who describe their religious identity, however, as atheist, agnostic, or nothing in particular is at 26%, up 9 points in the last decade. Now, specifically, it's the nuns that are growing. Atheists, 4%. So Ron Reagan's got some friends, 4%. That's up just a little bit, 2 points since 2009. Agnostics, the people who live in the land of ambivalence, 5% of U.S. adults. That's up from 3% a decade ago. But here's the biggie. 17% of Americans, nothing in particular. That's up 5 points. That is the growing category. Put all of that together, and you got yourself 26%, over a quarter of our population, that says, no God, or whatever, or I don't care. That's a radical shift. Currently, 43% of U.S. adults identify with Protestantism. That's down 8 points in a decade. Catholics also down 3 points in the last decade. There's definitely a shift going on. Please note this. The largest demographic where we are seeing this, you can guess it, can't you? Is it the silent generation, the baby boomers, Gen X, millennials? There's your growth in unaffiliated. It's at 13%. Christian, it's down 16% in that generation compared to other generations. It's the millennials. These kids, they are not being reached with the gospel. Now, to be sure, many of these millennials, they grew up underneath the whipped cream peanut butter wackadoodle youth group gospel. That's right. The whipped cream peanut butter wackadoodle youth group gospel.
I got to write that down.
It's already been written down in lots of books, certainly lots of websites. I promise you that. You can watch the YouTube videos. Just YouTube youth group, whipped cream, or peanut butter, and prepare to be disgusted. So maybe we're losing these kids. Did we ever have them in the first place? I don't think so. So those numbers are definitely changing. Furthermore, according to Pew, more than 8 in 10 members of the silent generation, the old folks, describe themselves as Christians, 84%. Baby boomers, 76%. 49% of millennials say that they're Christians. That's not good. That's why we're doing Road Trip to Truth. I'm telling you, very excited about that show. We're going to try to reach those kids if it kills us here at Wretched. Just wrapped up almost all of the shooting. Now we've got all the post-production stuff that has to be done. Can't wait to show that to you. John Fabarez trying to reach his demographic with a TV series aimed right at them. One more reason to consider supporting us at wretched.org/donate. We want to reach your kids and your grandkids. In the U.S., the number of religious nuns has grown by nearly 30 million over the past decades. Fields are white and harvest waiting. Who will bear the sheaves away? Anybody want me to keep going with that hymn?
No, thanks.
I'm good.
Guess who's stable when it comes to growth? Go ahead. Guess which religion? I don't want to say denomination. Guess which religion is remaining stable with their numbers? Anybody? Anybody want to guess? Mindfulness followers? No, by the way, silence and pondering doesn't help on radio, gentlemen. Just spit it out. What do you got?
I got nothing.
Okay.
I could just throw out a bunch of different religions.
Muslim.
Sikh.
It begins with an M. Mormon. So well done, gentlemen. Mormons. They held steady at 2% over the past decade. Can I say definitively it's because they remain evangelistic? Actually, I think I can. I think I can. They're ringing doorbells. They're out in the streets. They're willing to look dorky for the sake of what they believe. Shouldn't we be too? I know. The times are different. You can't do that now. Well, the Mormons are, and at least they're maintaining, right? Now, one last little snippet of news. You be the interpreter of this. The number of people, now this you got to break this down. Among Protestants, the percentage of professing Protestants who are born again or evangelical, it's pretty much maintained. It's up just a little bit, 59%. So the majority of people who are evangelicals say that they're born again. That's up just a little bit. And that is why in all of this, here's what I think the good news, bad news, good news is. The good news is that the superficial, cultural, bloated Christianity that's responsible for all the tchotchkes and all the zaniness that we see and the apathy and the liberalism and the pro-abort theology, that's shrinking. The good news is those people who claim to be born again, nobody knows anybody's heart, that's actually growing a little bit. So while we see an outer shell that's shrinking, I think, and I've observed this is my observation, I'm no Pew or Barna, I think it's actually strong and potentially growing. And I suspect it would grow more if we were still evangelizing like the Mormons. This is Wretched Radio.
Wretched. We're hip, we're technologically savvy. Would you please join us in liking, subscribing, or sharing this video?